For Mr. Powell.
I was always like the class West. And then if I had to run to a city meeting, I would just go in that. I mean, they knew what I was doing, but sometimes the engineers were really dressed down. They would wear
I want everybody to get home on time. Good evening, everyone. That slid right in there. All right, first item on tonight's agenda, we'll call this meeting to order. This is our study session for February 21st. It is 5:31. First item on the agenda is a presentation and discussion relating to the overview of the city's new website. My two favorite people are here.
Oh, thank you. Hey, hello.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Heather Kennedy. I am the Public Information Officer. This, to my left, is...
Becca Stanley. I'm your Web Services, Media, and AV Specialist for the city.
So, hello, Mayor and Council. We're here this evening to talk about the website redesign and what we're calling Casa Grande Alerts, or CG Alerts. The two items we're discussing today will officially be launched on March 8th at the State of the City. However, we wanted to give you a sneak peek without, of course, stealing Councilmember Fitzgibbon's thunder, because this is actually her focus topic at the State of the City. So in terms of the website redesign, we wanted to talk about why the redesign in the first place. So a couple of reasons why is to create a more secure back end and front end for the users, to plan for the future needs of our residents and employees, to be more inclusive for all residents, including those with a disability or those who speak a language other than English. It is easier on the back end to train support staff. It creates an in-house redundancy in our department so that Rebecca can go on vacation.
I know.
And we can still make changes to the website. It improves upon the design and flow of the site regardless of the device that you're using. And it increases the city communication with its residents and employees. So we chose a company called Civic Plus, and they are one of the best in the industry. We chose them for a few reasons, specifically because they were the most responsive and physically responsible out of the companies that we received the quotes from. We already use multiple products through Civic Plus, and all of these will be integrated into the website. Those include SeeClickFix, Moncito, and Civic Ready. They also own Archive Social. Why this is important is this is the product that archives all of our social media. all of our social media accounts, which we're required to do as a government agency. And then they build their sites based on the Americans with Disabilities Act and the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines standards to ensure that the content can be easily accessed by all citizens. And then they offer additional products that we can grow into in order to streamline the services that we offer to our citizens. So we're going to do a presentation of the website that you'll be able to see on the screens in front of you. When we started the redesign process, we surveyed our residents, and we had 557 respondents. They completed the website survey. We asked them how we could improve our site, and some of the topics that were mentioned that we answered the call to were specifically the main menu or the how do I component. Staff directory, they wanted to know how they could more easily connect with staff. They wanted a more straightforward way to pay for fines or their utility bills. They were looking for a more modernized design. They wanted us to keep up with technology. They wanted to be able to adjust the font size on their own, depending on what their requirements were. They wanted to see what our city events were up front on the homepage, and then they wanted to be able to have a better search function. So when you put something in the search, it would actually come up, and be relevant to what it is that they were looking for. So I'm going to hand it over to Rebecca, and she's going to get you to the homepage, and then we're going to do some demonstrations.
All right. So, welcome to our new website. It's been a process. It's been almost a year getting this completed. So we're just going to kind of run through the homepage, and we're going to start at the top here. As you see, we have what we call our alert center. So items that we are wanting to get out to the public and let them know immediately. We have this alert bar that appears on every single page of the website. So currently, right now, we have our Thornton Road construction, and we have more road maintenance throughout the city. So we're advertising it there. If you go down a little bit, this is where you can create a website account. So you can log in, and this is where you can manage all your subscriptions of all the different ways you want to receive information from the city. And we're going to cover that a little bit later in the presentation. So here is our mega menu, and this is where, this is new, how we broke it up into sections, and this is kind of what the public was asking for, multiple ways to get to an item, because we all think differently. So we broke it up into living here, your government, city services, doing business, and how do I. So currently, this information that's listed is based on Google Analytics of what people are commonly searching. So this can change depending on our residents. So we run monthly Google Analytics to see what people are looking at, so we can change our website to reflect their needs. So one of the items also was quick links that they wanted to see on the homepage. So we've added more. Before, we just kind of had these graphic buttons up here, but we've also created new boxes here for residents, visitors, businesses, and government. So here, this information can change also depending on the type of information we're receiving back from Google Analytics. So we scroll down.
You just answered my question before I
Yeah,
even
and if you
asked
guys
it.
have questions, feel free to chime in, and we'll answer the best as we can. So we'll scroll down a little bit. So spotlights and news, these are events that are coming up that we think, the city would be interested in seeing. On the right-hand side, this is more news stuff. This is going to be all city news on the right-hand side. So that includes all departments, anything they need to share or get out to the public will appear here. This does not, on the right, usually include calendar stuff because we actually have a separate section for that. So we'll scroll down. So this section is our upcoming meetings and events. we do have two tabs here because the feedback that we received from our residents, they wanted to keep city events separate from public meetings. For those who just want city events, they didn't want to know about the meetings and kind of vice versa. So right here, we have public meetings tab, and if you click over, we have city events. But if we go to March, you'll see samples of what's coming up. Sorry, my computer froze. Oop. Sorry, I don't know why my March is acting weird for me. Let's go here.
Just so you know, the website is 6 days old.
So we're working out kinks that may come up.
Absolutely. That's right.
Okay. Cool. We'll look into that one.
Yep.
Okay. So now we're going to kind of show you how our ADA compliance tool, which is through Moncito, which is also owned by Civic Plus. So we're going to go into our city manager page. You can see our nice photos of Larry and Steven.
Great picture.
So with Moncito, it's a great tool because it lets us, or let the user who may have software that does screen reading, it'll kind of help them through it. People who may be dyslexic, you can adjust the font that way to help them see. You can also adjust the font size here, but we also have that kind of built in into the page itself, so they don't technically have to use it here. Then we also have contrast. So it's very customizable based on how that person may need help.
And that's what Montecito is?
Yes, that's our ADA compliance tool. Oh, yes. So, and then also we have Google Translate, which is available for those who may have, English as a second language. So, for instance, Hebrew.
Goodness.
Right. So, yeah. But yep, so, like I said, this project, we just launched, so we're working out kinks before March 8th, which Councilmember Fitzgibbon will get to announce to. Any questions or
that's great.
concerns or anything like that?
Just a quick question. So the pay online will allow people to get like their business license, get their dog permit or their alarm registration or all the things that we ask people to do?
So currently our pay online, sorry, I'm stuck in Hebrew at the moment.
Pay their sewer bill?
Okay. Okay, so right now, finance, they have their bill pay online, which includes sanitation, irrigation, landfill, airport leases, business license, and other miscellaneous services that they may deal with. And then we also have our court fees that we can pay online. As for business licenses, I don't know if they had a software that they wanted to implement into our system, but that's something that we can definitely look into and add that feature if that's something that we're going to
Well,
want to do.
accounting is responsible for that, right, Larry? Stephen?
Yes.
So that's part of accounting's process and
Oh,
they're,
then that's included then.
okay.
Yeah.
for city court.
Yeah, so city court and finance, they have two separate systems online that they have for people to pay bills. So
But
anything
this-
that happens through,
So this isn't for financing, this is just for city court?
this is both.
Okay, it's both.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it links them here, and they can pay their, their bill online for finance. And then down here, it says Casa Grande City Court payments, and they have their two different ways that they can pay their fines or bonds. Any other
Right,
questions?
there's no questions, we'll go ahead and introduce CG Alerts. So we're gonna talk about Casa Grande Alerts. CG Alerts will officially be launched at the State of the City on March 8th as well. Over the next 2 weeks, we will be working through integration and testing the platform. CG Alerts is a mass communication tool where citizens can opt in to receive customized alerts from the city. So we'll give you a few examples, but there are a couple of, well, there are a myriad of things that folks can sign up for to receive alerts on. They include bid postings, calendar notices like city council meetings, news flashes, any city news. They can subscribe for newsletters. That includes from the police department or economic development. And like sanitation service delays. So what's great about this is that it's customizable. So if you, as the user, only want to know about road construction, for example, then that's all the alerts that you will receive. So we can do a test for CG Alerts. We're going to have a marketing campaign push for this, and there's going to be QR codes that will be associated with CG Alerts, so it'll be easy. Folks can just scan with their phones, and then it signs them up automatically with like the top, 4 or 5 alerts. Folks can then go in, establish their own login, and then they can customize and add additional if they would like, or even take some of the ones away that they automatically get subscribed to. So with that said,
So if you guys want to participate in the test, what you're gonna do is you're gonna compose a text message, and the phone number is going to be 38276. I have it on the screen in front of you. And then you're gonna text the word CG test.
is it case sensitive?
You're switching on me?
CG, capital T.
Yeah, so capital C, capital G, capital T, EST,
All one word, right?
all one word.
Says I'm already signed up.
So,
You should be
There it is.
the mayor.
You should receive a text message that says you're signed up for Casa Grande AZ Community Alerts for Groups. If we did it right, then it should
yeah,
pop right up.
shows that I have 4 users in that group. So let's do a,
We're gonna send an alert. Did you get it? It should say test from the city of Casa Grande. Good?
Cool.
Well, that's a good sign.
so we can make a bunch of these keywords. So if we can, I don't know, whatever we want to advertise or whatever we want people to sign up for. Let's say they just want traffic alerts. We could just say, CG traffic, text to this number, and then they're automatically input into that group. So they'll receive notifications moving forward of any traffic notifications. So.
I think the first test you sent out, we were able to actually go into it and put your preferences in.
Yeah, I had a link included in that one. Yeah, so now, when you go into CG Alerts with that phone number, if you don't have an account, then you'll be able to log in with that phone number and adjust your information.
You guys have any questions about the notification system?
You're gonna have a big QR code for me at the reveal,
I know
right?
that.
Yes, sir,
Yep,
Okay,
we will.
all
just
right.
like your C-Click Fix.
We'll have
Count on it.
banners with QR codes, and we'll have contact cards with QR codes, and
Counting on that.
all kinds of good stuff. Yes.
All right.
Great. So I just wanted to point out that this has been a coordinated effort between all the city departments. We got a lot of feedback from the PIO roundtable, and then we asked for folks to review their pages. So it took a huge coordinated effort with all of the city departments to make sure that their content was correct. And we moved some things around. We added a whole bunch of stuff. We edited. Again, for the next couple of weeks, we're going to be fine-tuning the website and CG Alerts, but we did want to provide the opportunity for you guys to get the sneak peek. I specifically wanted to mention Rebecca and Mindy in the PIO office because they have been working on this for about a year, and they've been eyeballs deep. So, they have... I'm sure that they're excited to launch it on March 8th, and that'll be the culmination of all of their hard work. So,
And then Mac and Aaron, they also were on our web committee and helped us out. So, yeah, I think it was definitely a group effort.
that's right.
Good job.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Good. Anybody have any questions for them? Can't wait for it to,
I had one comment. It passed my first test because I always look for the landfill information. It used to be really hard to find, and it came right up today, so.
Wonderful. That's what we want to hear. And if it doesn't, then please let us know.
Yeah, no, it was, seriously, I was like, that was always my thing, and I looked it up today, and it just
Great.
went exactly.
Yeah, and we can adjust each page with specific keywords. So if it's not popping up how we want to, then we can just throw those keywords in there.
what's
All right.
this, what's the symbol gonna look like?
I'm sorry?
We're gonna have a symbol, like an app symbol?
Yes.
For the CG Alerts?
Yes. You
Yeah.
like an icon, like a logo, essentially? Yes, it's in design.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
make it cool.
Oh, of course.
That's right.
It does.
Because I have a bazillion apps on here, so
Right.
it's gotta stand out.
Yes.
Blinking.
Yeah, blinking CG neon sign. All right,
That looks like an alert.
okay, thank you
Thank you.
both. Thank you all. I'll put in the crow's nest too. All right. Good deal. Larry? Next item is on the airport master plan. You want to kind of introduce this?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, thank you for the opportunity to update the mayor and council on the airport master plan. I'm actually going to invite our airport manager, Mr. David Refner, to come to the podium and introduce the team that's been working on this for pretty much the same amount of time that we were working on the web. So we've been busy this year, but this is just another project that's
I saw Aaron in the hallway and he had a tie on. I didn't even recognize him.
he
You gotta put a tie
definitely
on
dressed
from
up.
time to time, right? Well, good evening, Mayor and Council. I appreciate you being here tonight and allowing us to present to you. I want to thank you all for all your support and advocacy that we receive from each of your individual offices. This is the reason why we develop quality documents and information research for you all to make educated decisions when you vote on things at this level, at the council level, whether it's policy decisions or financial decisions. We need things like the airport master plan. The airport master plan is something that we update in general every 10 years. This one's actually been 13 or 14 years since we updated it in 2009, so it's well past due, and I believe we've developed a quality document. And with that, I'll introduce our consultants from Kaufman Associates. They are the industry professionals and experts in aviation planning. This is Sandra Burks and Matthew Quick, and I believe Chandra will be taking over from here.
Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you, Dave. And good evening, Mayor and council members. Thank you for your time this evening. I'm here to, as he said, provide you with an overview of the airport master plan, outline the findings and recommendations of the study, and ultimately ask for your approval of the plan. Before we get into some of the study specifics on that, I do want to go through a little bit of background here. As Dave was saying, the last master plan was adopted in 2009, and that included an update to the airport layout plan drawing set. That was subsequently updated again back in 2015 and did reflect some notable differences between the 2009 plan. So with about 7 years between that last ALP update and this one, it's time again to evaluate the airport from a long-term development standpoint and see what makes the most sense in terms of facility planning. So this study was initiated back in December of 2021, and we conducted a site visit at that time to meet with airport staff and gather information about the airport, its tenants, and the users, and the community as well. And from there, we moved right into our first Planning Advisory Committee meeting, or PAC. This group consists of airport stakeholders that represent different entities and interests. This included representatives from the city, airport users, the FAA, and ADOT's Aeronautics Group. So the role of the PAC throughout this process is to essentially serve as a sounding board for the planning team as we move through this project to provide feedback and comments as we go through the process. So a few things, what is a master plan and what is it not? So it's a long-range planning study that looks 20 years into the future. Both airside and landside facility needs are evaluated based upon the projected aviation demand. These studies, as Dave was saying, are typically conducted every 7 to 10 years or so, or as demand dictates, to stay up to date with current planning standards and to reflect current conditions locally and within the aviation industry as well. 90% of this master plan has been funded through the FAA's Airport Improvement Program, and the city has been responsible for the remaining 10% of the study costs. So there are certain elements of the master plan that the FAA approves, and these are the aviation demand forecast and the ALP itself. But it is important to remember that this is a local document, and it's meant to serve as a guidebook for the airport and the city to turn to when they come together each year to develop the airport's capital improvement program. And then lastly, it's a chance for airport stakeholders to weigh in on all matters related to the airport, including direction in terms of growth and facility development. It's also a good way to get the public interested and involved with the airport and teach them about this important asset to the community. So a few things that an airport doesn't do that are worth pointing out. First of all, it's not a guarantee that any of the projects depicted on the airport layout plan will be developed, nor is it a guarantee that funding assistance will be available from either the FAA or ADOT. But what it does do is it gives the airport and the city the option to pursue grant funds, as any project that the airport wants funding assistance on must be depicted on the airport layout plan. Lastly, it does not provide environmental clearance for any of the projects that are shown on the ALP. There is an environmental element associated with this plan, but it's really more to serve as identification of any potential red flags as they relate to the planning projects. So one big element that we had with this plan was a public outreach component. And we did want to maintain a transparent process as we moved through this. We wanted to involve the community. We want to educate and inform the public about this important asset. So some of the things that we did to promote that public outreach was we had a study-specific website that was developed just for the airport master plan. That's where all of the project materials were contained. There's an option for people to submit comments through the website. Social media posts were also created. I know that CG Chat was a big conduit to get information out to the public. And then we had public information workshops throughout the process where we held an open house format at the airport terminal building and interacted with members of the public who had questions about the plan. So as far as the master plan process itself, it's broken down into 3 phases. Phase 1 kind of serves as the foundation of the plan and consists of the inventory, the forecast, and the facility requirements. And as I mentioned, the forecasts are one element of the plan that is approved by the FAA. And these are really what the rest of the plan is based upon in terms of ultimate facility planning. So we had our first planning, we had our first planning advisory committee meeting back in January of 2022, where we kicked off the project and introduced everybody to the process. And then our phase 1 meeting was held in April of 2022. And that was also when we conducted our first public information workshop. From there, we went into the airport alternatives. And then we met again with the PAC and had another public information workshop. And then we moved into phase 3 of the plan, which includes the recommended development plan concept and the capital financial plan, as well as those environmental considerations that I mentioned before. From there, we had our final PAC meeting and public information workshop, and now we're sitting at a draft final master plan. So we've pulled all of the pieces together. You have the documents in front of you, I believe, and now we will be asking for your approval of this plan from this point. Once we have that, we'll be submitting the ALP set to the FAA so that it can go through their approval processes, and then we'll be at the final stage of this plan. So just kind of a brief overview of the study itself and some of the highlights. We are projecting growth in both based aircraft and annual operations, with based aircraft increasing from 102 to 167 over the next 20 years. Operations are also projected to increase from about 122,000 a year up to about 165,000 a year. So it's important to keep these numbers in mind as we talk about facility development at the airport and what may need to be planned to meet that projected demand. Another part of the forecasting process is to determine what the airport's critical aircraft and runway design code are. And these are done by reviewing a database that the FAA maintains, and it's important to determine these planning standards to see what the ultimate airfield design needs to look like in order to meet the FAA standards. So in the future, as the fleet mix nationally and here at Casa Grande as well transitions to include more jets, we are looking at a planning design code of C2 2400, and the ultimate aircraft is the Challenger 600. So this is the overall recommended development concept that you're seeing here. And the major elements on the air side include a 2,100-foot extension to runway 5, bringing the total runway length to 7,300 feet. And this, again, is based upon the anticipation of more frequent jet traffic in the coming years at the airport. So these types of aircraft require longer pavement lengths to safely operate, especially during hot summer months. And at this length, 100% of the business jet fleet can safely operate at 60% of their maximum takeoff weight. The parallel taxiway is also planned to be relocated to meet those ultimate C2 design standards that I mentioned a moment ago. And then we are showing a runway threshold displacement on the runway 23 end to bring the runway protection zone, which is kind of that trapezoidal area that you can see, off of the highway and the Velago development. The FAA considers these to be incompatible uses, and they want to see plans in place in order to mitigate that. So on the land side, the major elements include build out of existing airport property on the south side. We did focus heavily on segregating vehicle and aircraft movements, and we're showing construction of several new access roads in hangar areas. And then we also have an option to expand the existing terminal building to accommodate projected growth and potentially an FBO or a fixed base operator locating at the airport in the future. The north side offers significant development potential as well, but to do this, a north side taxiway is necessary, as well as vehicle access roads and utilities. So this development isn't envisioned until the south side is fully built out. Potential locations for an airport traffic control tower have also been evaluated. Before a tower could be constructed, the airport or the city would need to coordinate with the FAA, and other studies would be necessary, such as a benefit cost analysis and site selection. But what we were looking to do here was just identify a few potential locations that could be suitable for that type of development in the future. So due to the displacement of runway 23, declared distances are implemented, and these basically tell pilots what amount of pavement they have available for takeoff and landing operations. So there are 4 declared distances: the takeoff run available, the takeoff distance available, the accelerate stop distance available, and the landing distance available. And each of these corresponds to a specific planning standard as well. This slide shows a graphic representation of the declared distances and how much available pavement pilots would have to work with during takeoff and landings to either runway end. Again, the intent behind these is to meet FAA design planning standards, such as moving that RPZ off of the highway and maintaining full runway safety areas around the airport. The end result is that aircraft taking off from 2-3 would have the full length of the runway to work with, but landing operations would be shortened somewhat to 5,855 feet. And then on the runway 5 end, the takeoff run available is impacted, as is the landing distance available. Noise contours were also developed as part of the environmental component of this study. And these have been developed for both the existing and ultimate conditions and are based on the types of aircraft currently and projected to operate at the airport. So the FAA has defined the threshold of significance as the 65 day-night average sound level, or DNL. Anything at 65 DNL or greater is considered to be a significant impact to noise-sensitive areas, such as homes, schools, hospitals, things of that nature. These maps here show the different DNLs on and around the airport based on the projected aircraft that are using the airport now and in the future. So what you see in the green shading is the 65 DNL, and then the other colors represent higher DNLs. And essentially, these noise contours remain on existing airport property in the existing condition and on the ultimate airport property in the ultimate condition. So there should be no issue there, as they don't extend over any noise-sensitive areas. So from the recommended development concept, we did create a capital improvement program, or a CIP, which is divided into 3 phases: short, intermediate, and long-term. And then the short term is broken out by years and covers the first 5 years of the plan. The intermediate and long-term cover years 6 through 10 and 11 through 20, respectively. But these are grouped rather than annualized in order to allow greater flexibility for you and airport staff as you develop your updated CIP every year. So projects in the short term are those that are considered to be the highest priority, and these generally include things such like as pavement rehabilitation or modifications that are needed to meet FAA safety design standards. So it's important to remember too, as you're looking at some of these numbers, this is a point in time analysis, and so priorities will change, and this is likely to be updated and shifted around every single year. So in a nutshell, the short term right now comes to about 10.7 million in total projects. Intermediate term is about 32.97, so 33 million. And then the long term comes to about 22.8 million, with a total CIP of $66.5 million. So again, it's important to keep in mind that just because these projects are shown here, it doesn't mean that they have to be completed. It's all based upon demand and justification, nor does it mean that funding would be available. But these are the costs that we are looking at over the next 20 years in order to achieve the development plan as it's presented. So the development plan has been staged to show you which areas are focused on in each of the phases. Again, the short term largely consists of things like pavement rehab and a couple of safety-related projects. The intermediate term is primarily associated with the runway extension project and construction of the relocated taxiway on the south side. And then the long term is centered upon that north side, land side development. So our next steps are, again, asking you all to review and approve the 2023 Airport Master Plan for Casa Grande. And from there, we will be submitting the ALP set to the FAA so that it can begin moving through their lines of business for their review and approval. And then we will be at a final stage where we will print a final document and have that available for you all to use in your long-term planning at the airport, and then ultimately to execute the plan through your annual budget. Any questions?
Is the drop zone in this plan?
That's a separate study. I'm going to let Dave talk a little bit about that.
Sorry, Dave, I know it's a sore subject.
No, so just so the mayor and council know, the drop zone's a separate process than this master plan, and we decided to do that to keep both projects moving forward at a steady pace. It seemed we tried to combine the two, and it tended to kind of put the brakes on, and we want to keep both projects moving forward, so we separated them. So this one's moving a little faster, and the drop zone's being treated as a separate project at this time.
But can the drop zones then be incorporated in this once it's complete?
It wouldn't be a part of the master plan, but generally, drop zones are not part of a master plan
Okay.
either. They wouldn't have to be, because they're not part of an ALP update.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Dave.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions? Go ahead, Matt.
You were talking something about the proximity to the highway on Pinal Avenue, and this one project shows like an extension of the runway on the intermediate projects, number 20. And I kind of lost you a little bit there. I see we're trying to move everything, I would say, to the west.
Right, so we're showing the extension to the runway 5 end. The part that I was talking about with, that includes Pinal Avenue is the runway protection zone, and that's a two-dimensional safety
That's what
area.
RPZ, okay.
That's what RPZ is, yes. And so what we're doing in order to shift that RPZ off of the highway is displacing that threshold and implementing declared distances.
So it actually moved, lengthen it, but lengthen it this further to move
Yes,
everything.
yes, we will be lengthening it to the west.
But more than the minimum, that's what I'm getting at, so we can shift everything to the west.
Right, yes.
It's a problem when you take off this way, not a problem when you take off
Got it. I saw that.
that. If you go to the west, it's not a problem. It's when you go to the east, it's a problem. At our current construction on the runway. So we'll move this back, so this is not a problem anymore.
All right.
Yeah, go ahead, Bob.
Question about extending the runway to the west. Does the drainage feature present any specific problems other than bridging it? Or would that have to be moved at some point?
No, we did go through that. We did have a subconsultant on staff and engineering subconsultant providing analysis and some of these cost estimates.
Okay.
And what you're seeing, it's hard to see on this graphic here, but what you see shaded kind of in blue underneath that runway extension is that dry wash area. And that would just be an affected area that would have to be overcome through engineering. So bridging it, using a culvert. So yes, it is possible. There's certainly some earthwork that would need to be involved with that.
Okay,
And that's tied up in that project list and cost as well.
okay.
Lisa?
As far as outreach, I see on page, is that 1-7, and you had 3 different meetings. I was just curious, did you get some pretty good participation from community members or just the advisory committee?
We had great participation on both fronts. The advisory committee was there. We had several different stakeholders that were representing different entities at each of our meetings, and so we got a lot of good feedback from them during our PAC meetings. And then as far as the public component with the workshop, we did have several people drop in. We did have these staged at different points in the process. I think our most well-attended workshop was the last one where we were presenting everything at that point. But we did have a good turnout and were able to connect with some folks and answer questions.
It's very civil.
You went to it?
Matt?
I had a comment about the airport. I think a lot of people know now that Dave worked with the Chamber of Commerce very well to get the Chamber Lifestyle, that's what we're calling it, the Chamber Lifestyle show out there, and it was a great success. So I want to give Dave a good shout out for that and the Chamber, and it exposed a lot of people to the airport so they could see, wow, this is a great asset to our community. So I really want to thank you for that, Dave, because I know it was kind of a short thing, but it all came together and it was great. And I did have Just a question, how many jets did you get for the Super Bowl? I saw you were waiting.
There
I
were
saw,
a
I
few.
saw like 2 big ones
There were
one
a
time
few
when I
out
drove
there,
by.
yeah.
Well, thank you for the acknowledgement first, and we did count 29 jets that we wouldn't have otherwise seen, which was an unusually high number for us. So we're very proud of that, and then congrats to our staff who took care of all those jets.
And we had enough fuel for it?
Me and my wife enjoyed it, we talked. So we really enjoyed that. That's great.
But that's a neat thing, because I know there's a lot of landing issues up in the valley where they could land but not park, so I imagine they dropped people there and then come down and
Yeah,
park here.
we were basically an overflow airport, but there was a lot of overflow.
Great.
Is our airport, they use that as emergency landing as well?
It could be used as emergency landing. We did not use it for emergency purposes during these events, but any airport can be used as
Right.
emergency landing.
Anthony, did you bring your jet in?
Actually, the owner flew me in. All right. And so I'm glad to be able to make this meeting today.
Any other questions or comments? I just, on a note too, Dave, to you and your staff, and also to the staff of the Kaufman and Associates, you guys did a great job. I was part of the meetings, so it was, you did a great job managing it, and really, I think, came out with a really good plan. So I want to thank you personally for all the hard work. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right. Next item then is item 3. This is our presentation and discussion relating to the proposed Water Infrastructure Finance Authority, affectionately known as WIFA. And Larry, we'll let you kick it off.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, my most difficult job this evening is making sure that I don't steal anyone's thunder in advance of their presentation. And so the mayor and council will be considering 2 debt authorization resolutions later this evening in our regular council meeting related to 2 projects that are proposed at our water reclamation facility, our wastewater treatment plant. One that the mayor and council has heard about, which includes the expansion of our capacity at the wastewater treatment plant, as well as the reuse infrastructure and sewer infrastructure on the west side. That particular project we're asking council to consider resolution in the amount of $34 million. It's roughly $35 million, which basically gives us authorization to begin to have some level of dialogue with WIFA for a potential loan for those projects. I do want the mayor and council to recognize that on both of these projects, we have not made a final decision to use WIFA, but on the one we're going to talk about here in a minute, it may be advantageous for us to go down that path simply because of some of the incentives that might be available. But the resolutions that you'll consider this evening essentially give us authorization to make application and be prepared to enter into a loan if we wish to go that route. But the project that I want to focus on tonight, we've got 2 gentlemen in the audience from Verigy, one that does not need an introduction. I still refer to him very commonly as the mayor, Ed Farrell, and he's got a peer of his from the company, Dick Williams, that would like to talk a little bit this evening about our wastewater treatment plant in regards to adding solar. And a bit of a history there. The mayor and council will remember roughly 8 years ago, the city really got very focused and motivated to add solar to a number of our facilities and went through a number of infrastructure projects that allowed us to reduce the amount of power that we were purchasing off the grid and replace it with solar. And at that time, or shortly thereafter, Ed and his team actually looked at the potential of adding solar to the wastewater treatment plant, which happens to be one of our biggest power users in all of our facilities. At that point in time, that particular facility is serviced by the Electric District Number 2 for power, and they had not really advanced their solar programs or incentives similar to other providers, and as a result, the ultimate return on investment just did not meet the thresholds. Most recently, the mayor and council is familiar with the Inflation Reduction Act that was passed by the federal government, and which offers a number of incentives for for solar projects to governments. In fact, it's a tax credit that ultimately can come back to governments as well. And so that really got this team and our team very motivated. We've been working feverishly. Mr. Mackenzie Letcher out of our office has been assisting in going through the evaluation of whether or not solar will work today. We've learned some other things about ED2, and they're embracing solar much more today as well, and there are also incentives through WIFA. And so with that, I'm going to ask Mr. Farrell and Mr. Williams to come up and give the presentation.
Hey, Larry?
Yes.
Just a quick question. Will the presentation include a little bit of information on what WIFA is and what it offers, or just an abridged version?
Mr. Mayor, I can cover that as
Just
soon
so
as we're done
council
with it.
knows,
Yes,
I'm not
it
sure
has
that
a better
everybody up here is
understanding.
familiar
Sure.
with WIFA.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Larry. Appreciate that. Mayor, members of the council, my name is Edward Farrell, and just before we get started, I guess I might owe you a quick apology. I don't have a suit and tie on. I apologize. I didn't realize I was going to follow such a good lead like Mr. Dave over here, but we're gonna give it our best shot here. I'm here tonight along with my colleague, Mr. Dick Williams. We're with the energy service company called Verigy, and what we do is focus on energy efficiency solutions, focusing on the government sector. We have 15 years of experience behind us with 3 offices in the state of Arizona, 2 in Phoenix and 1 in Tucson, with over 350 employees, with the focus of 99% of our work strictly on government, in the government industry. So with that said, as Larry explained to you guys, we were here about 4 years ago and solar didn't quite make sense, but with the IRA, it became a game changer. So about 4 or 5 months ago, we began to do a feasibility study to bring solar back to the table for the possibility of solar at your wastewater treatment plant. So what I have here tonight for you are the findings that we found in that feasibility study. And we have a PowerPoint presentation here before you that consists of 47 slides. It should take about 2.5 to 3 hours, depending on how many questions you all might have. So Councilmember Herman, please pay attention to, expedite those questions, afterwards. No, it should be nice
He's
and quick.
taking notes.
Got it.
So before I get to the agenda on tonight's presentation, I want to recognize your staff. They've been outstanding to work with, starting with Larry and his administration and all of the folks over at the Public Works facility and your wastewater treatment plant, opening the doors for us, giving us the data that we need, the site tours that we needed to take place to explore the possibilities of solar. All of your staff has made it a real smooth process, so we're very appreciative of that. So tonight, we'll talk about the wastewater treatment solar site plan. We'll go into 30-year savings summary with you, the benefits for the city of Casa Grande by doing this. We'll talk about next steps, and then we'll open it up for any questions or comments. So let's see. Oh, I went back. There we go. So this is a bird's eye view of your wastewater treatment plant. And if you see the solar array looking north, what we have come up with at the time when we presented this to your council packet, we were still undetermined because we lacked one site visit and one more meeting with ED2 to determine the array of the size system of array that we were going to move forward with. It was going to be anywhere from 2 to 5 megawatts. But since then, we're here tonight to inform the council, and we've already informed Mackenzie that we will only be moving forward with the 2.25 megawatt system. After constant communication with ED2 and our engineers, it was determined that that is the best economic boost for the solar system to get the best return on your investment. So With that 2.25 megawatt system, that will consist of about a 40% offset on the grid for you. On a cash flow summary, what that consists of is a total payments of a 20-year amortization of $10 million, a little under $10,600,000. That gives you a 30-year total savings of over $18 million with the 30-year cumulative total surplus of a little over $7.5 million. The financing would be, we did the 20-year AM of total payments because the financing would come under WIFA, which stands for the Water Infrastructure Finance Authority. They would finance the remaining balance, and their current interest rate is about 3% right now. So with, as Larry explained to you, with the Inflation Reduction Grants and the estimated principal forgiveness through WIFA with their GPR Green Project Reserve, which we will become more familiar with as the process with WIFA goes along, your anticipated rebates and reductions on the total project is about a little under $5 million. So what are the benefits that are this for the city of Casa Grande? Well, to start with, it gives you tremendous energy savings. And as Larry mentioned previously, over the last 8 years, you've done 6 solar projects within the city of Casa Grande. This wastewater treatment project, which is your biggest energy consumption provider, will just add to the list and show that you're continuing to improve sustainability within your city, which could lead to lower rates for your citizens and ratepayers, and could benefit for economic development enhancement, which I'm sure Larry doesn't want to hear that with all the economic development going on around here right now. But it also shows that you as a council will continue to show fiscal and environmental leadership and responsibility. So the next steps moving from here would be, we have already filled out the priority project list, which consisted of the solar array with WIFA. It was a non-binding application, which was just something to inform WIFA that we were going to be coming with them with this project. We assisted McKinsey in that application process. Where we are now is tonight with the WIFA PFA, the project finance application, which is ready to go by the click of a button to submit to the WIFA process. We helped McKinsey in that process as well. And McKinsey, if I'm not mistaken, there was like 14 different applications in that process. So it was a lot of fun. So we've got that. The only reason we haven't pressed that button and submitted it is, as Larry told you tonight in your regular council meeting, you will have before you a debt authorization to approve, not to approve a certain amount to move forward with this solar project. Again, at the time, we thought it could be a possible 5 megawatt project. And you have on your debt authorization resolution not to exceed $20 million. We're here to tell you that now that it's just going to be a 2.25 megawatt project, that will not exceed a $10 million project. So we are hoping that you'll approve that debt resolution authorization tonight so we can go back and do the final detail engineering and design, get a final price tag on that, and be able to submit it to WIFA by the end of March for their final approval date deadline. And then it will go for contract authorization in front of the WIFA board in April. And if everything's approved on contracts approval in April, we could start construction as early as May 2023 with an anticipated construction completion of December 2023. So with that, that concludes our presentation, and we'll entertain any questions you might have, Mayor.
Anybody have any questions, Matt? Go ahead.
Why did we go with the 2.2 instead of the 5 megawatt?
So the 2.25 megawatt is right at the 40% production off grid. So that's just enough power for you to create your own energy to use while the sun's up. When the sun goes down, you'll have to go back on the grid. Our engineers found it was that 40% to where it was just enough to where we didn't have to give any power back, net metering, to ED2, because the power we give back to them, they only pay 4 cents a kilowatt for, so it's not worth it.
So it's just the power that we actually use.
Use during the day.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then the next question is, since it's at the, I don't, this is probably more for a Larry question, but since it's at the wastewater treatment plant, that's an enterprise project, so would this go straight into that account? And that would possibly, affect what's going on over there?
Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Herman, the short answer to your question is yes. It'll be accounted for as an asset in our enterprise fund at the wastewater treatment plant.
Yeah, that people don't realize, I never realized until doing this, how much energy it takes.
Right.
Like you said, that's our biggest energy user in the city is the wastewater treatment plant. So,
Lisa?
good. Thank you.
Hi, Edward, thanks for coming. And
Hello.
Dick, thank you for coming. As far as the application process, you talked about the number of applications. So what is that process? So you submit it in March. What are the chances of getting it approved? Are we competing with other projects and they only approved so many? Like, what's involved once you submit that application?
So the application process, that's a great question, Councilmember Fitzgibbons. The application process, as we said, consists of about 14 different applications, and it's a variety of different types of applications. Financial information from the city of Casa Grande, the technology of the solar array system itself, the dirt that's being put on, the geotech services that are of the dirt that's going to be put on it. All, how's the connection going to be put up? Is the power company in agreement with this, and have they signed off on it? All kinds of different moving parts come into play, and when we hand in that PFA, that project finance application with these 14 different applications, that's when WIFA goes to work and really dissects it out, and a lot of time spent. That's why WIFA doesn't even want to look at these 14 applications that we just completed unless they see an approval for the debt authorization resolution from the council saying that you're willing to make an investment on this project if WIFA does the research and is willing to support it with you.
Okay, so really, once you submit it, we approve, our step here, and once you submit it, it's really them authorizing that everything is in place to implement this, right?
Right.
So it's not like we're competing with other projects and they're only, it's just to make sure that it's a viable project.
We do, because WIFA has a budget, right? So there is some competition.
Right, there's a certain pool of money,
Budget
right?
standpoint.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's a certain
Yeah,
pool of money.
it's still a competitive, kind of a grant process.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's why I asked Larry, maybe you could just just brush the surface, because you can get into the weeds with what WIFA is.
Yeah, so the WIFO, the Water Infrastructure Financing Authority, is an independent state authority that has been created specifically to finance water and wastewater type projects, rehabilitations, construction, and the like. And the advantage of the organization is that they have access to both federal and state grants, number one. And number two, because of the amount of debt that they are, and bonding authority that they are issuing annually for the state of Arizona, it really drives down the interest rate. And Mr. Farrell talked a little bit about what they've seen recently with interest rates. Typically, you evaluate that against the bond market, whether or not you could go out to the bond market. And really, the primary difference between a WIFA loan, which, by the way, our last expansion at the wastewater treatment plant was funded through a WIFA loan, is that they have a max amortization term of 20 years. You're not able to go over that like you might be able to do in a bond market. That really works nicely with the city of Casa Grande, because the council's policy has always been you want to cap that at 20 years anyhow. So again, it's really taking advantage of the bonding authority that they have and capitalizing on the interest rates. And if I can, Mr. Mayor, just expand on the Inflation Reduction Act. One of the reasons why we have acted so expeditiously on this particular project is that there's been an allocation of money that has been granted through that program as well. And we don't want to find ourselves on the wrong side of that money. So we've moved very expeditiously to move this project forward in order to be in a better position to receive some of the it's not a forgiveness, it's a tax credit, right? That ultimately that would be granted through that organization as well.
Thank you, Larry.
Could I just clarify one thing is the way these loans are for WIFA, there's two components. One is called the Clean Water Fund and the other is called the Drinking Water Fund. So since this is a waste reclamation plant, this would fall under the Clean Water. And the way this was set up originally by Congress through the EPA, every state gets so much money that they originally gave to every state that they reinvest every year and they re-up that money. One of the things that's a nice thing that came in is you might remember the IJA Act that was the Investment, Infrastructure, and Jobs Act that came out like about a year and a half ago. Well, with that money, they actually replenished even more money into these clean water and drinking water funds. And what happens is they make a determination of how much principal forgiveness you will get based upon, you know, the type, where the facility is located at. And part of the nice thing is that you're located in where your plant is located in is the, you know, a Colonia type area where your plant is. So that might help you actually get more than what we're even showing right now. But we use 20% because we know that they have a green project reserve fund, which usually gets 20%. If we can save at least 20% of your energy, which we're saving, as Edward said, 40%. So we know that you'll get that as a minimum.
Anybody else have any other questions or comments?
No, I just appreciate the fact what Dick just said, because I wondered when you were talking about the competitiveness, whether it was for state or federal money. So now that I understand that Arizona gets so much of that, correct?
Yes.
Good to see you, Edward.
Good to see you.
Yeah, thank you, guys. Appreciate it. No other comments, questions? All right. Nice work. Appreciate it. Thank you, Mackenzie, too, for all your work on this, too. Larry, anything else?
No, Mr. Mayor, as promised, we wanted to give you a few minutes to break before we start the regular meeting at 7. We accomplished that goal.
Once in about 10 times. All right. All right, we'll stand adjourned until 7 o'clock. But it is appreciated. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's City of Casa Grande Council meeting on this February 21st, 2023. Welcome, everyone. I'll call the meeting to order. Didn't get any notification on if anyone was here for the invocation tonight.
He's here.
Oh, you are here. I didn't get a note, so I apologize. So we're going to have our invocation and pledge, so if you wouldn't mind, approach the podium and then remain standing for the pledge. Thank you.
Good evening. Please pray with me. Gracious God, I am humbled to come before you this evening. You are awesome in your power and majesty. You are worthy to be praised. I ask for your presence here today. These council members are gathered together for the important work of governing this city. And I ask that you give them your strength and wisdom in all that they do as their elected officials that represent all the people of Casa Grande. Give them compassionate hearts when considering actions that would impact the most vulnerable in our community. Give them discernment on all matters. Let them be cooperative with one another, arriving at solutions to problems that help the most people while safeguarding individual rights. Bless each one in their personal lives and their families and the community that they represent. Give them peace in their hearts, peace in their home life, peace in their hometown. I give you all the glory as your servant. I ask all of this in the name of my Lord and Savior, Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Lisa. Oh, too late.
All right. Next item is our roll call. Let the roll call show that all members are present. Next is our minutes.
Mayor McFarland, I move to approve the City Council regular meeting minutes from February 6, 2023, and the Casa Grande Planning and Zoning Commission minutes from January 5th, 2023.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Can I get it? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, minutes are approved. Next, we'll move to item D, claims against the city.
Mayor McFarland, I move to accept and pay the claims dated February 1st through 14th, 2023 as presented.
Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Mayor, I abstain.
All right, one abstention. All right, next item is item E, meeting agenda approval. Any changes, Larry?
We have no changes, Mr. Mayor.
All right, council have any changes? Anything you want moved? All right, seeing no changes, then I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the agenda is approved as presented. Next, we'll move to consent agenda. All items with an asterisk are considered routine matters and will be enacted by one motion and one roll call vote of the council. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member or member of the public so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered in its normal sequence of the agenda. Is there anybody on the council who would like to remove anything from the consent agenda? Anyone from the public? All right, seeing none, then I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor McFarland, I would move for approval of the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Gloria, can I please get a roll call vote?
Councilmember Edwards.
Yes.
Councilmember Huddleston.
Yes.
Councilmember McBride.
Yes.
Councilmember Fitzgibbons.
Yes.
Councilmember Herman.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Lavender,
Yes.
Mayor McFarland.
Yes. All right, next is item H on our agenda. This is a public comment section. This is when I will open the floor, so the floor is open. If there's anyone here who would like to address the council, this is your opportunity. I would ask that you keep your comments to 3 minutes, and also understand that it is not an agendized item, so we cannot comment on it. Is there anyone here? Yes, ma'am. Please come forward. Your hand was up, the young lady's hand was up first, so I'll let her go first. Please state your name and your address for us, please.
My name is Jean Henderson.
Can you speak into the microphone because we can't hear you?
My name is Jean Henderson. My address is Box 10061 in Casa Grande. I didn't tell you last time I was here, but I've been homeless for 2 years as of the 30th of April. I'm 74 and a half years old. I'm a retired BIA DOI counselor where I was for 20 years living and working on the reservations. And there were circumstances that led me to this. And I'm going to meet with Miss Councilmember Fitzgibbons next week. But I just wanted to let you know that the organizations who have helped me as much as they can have been Fountain of Life, Community Food Bank, Officers Moore and Duran, CG Helps, Chorus Home Behavioral Health, Against Abuse, the Safe House, and Yuma, where I went to Crossroads Shelter, and then I came back here. And anyway, number two, I think the veterans in this town need to have a place to live. I keep meeting all these veterans around town, and they really need help. And if they could have even a small place and a live-in RN, or even half-time live-in RN, because they worked really hard and they did a lot of service for the people. Okay. Oh, I know a lot of people in town. The librarians are like my family. I know them, and people all over the stores. People have been telling me they think that we ought to have a curfew in town. Sunday night through Thursday night, they're suggesting 11 p.m. on those nights. So that if you just think about that. Okay. I think also I've been thinking about 2 grocery bags that would help people, because I've been using cloth grocery bags for years. And I brought some, but I forgot to bring them up here. But I wanted to know if they could be handed out at schools. You could make them, print them, probably get them printed for not much. There's a really nice one that I carry around that says Mother Earth thanks you, and it's green. There's another one that's beige that I brought with me from California that says we're all in this neighborhood together. And I thought maybe you could come up with something about we all love this community here, and let's all help out, something like that. I would be pleased also to hand out bags at Fry's, Safeway, and Walmart. And people know me around. They know my vehicle. It's a little blue truck with a blue shell on it. And they know I'm very helpful. And I do love this town, and I love nature. And I really want things to go really well in this town. And I wanted to ask you, wasn't it a beautiful day in the neighborhood today? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
You can meet with her.
I am.
Okay. Good. Yes, sir.
Yes, my name is Scott Farley. I live at 513 West Manor Drive. I'm currently working on a trailer next to mine that belongs to me. And as long as I'm working on it, I can have the trailer there, but the moment I'm done, I'll have to move it, which I can't afford to do. So planning and zoning told me that I have to ask you guys for a variance in order to bring the lot back, because it's 511. And also, my landlord mentioned that he has to pay a sewer and trash tax on this property as well. And if possible, get a variance for 509 and a half. Because he bought the property originally to make money, which is what we all do when we're landlords, to make money. And if you can't make enough money to pay his bills, then, you might as well get rid of it. So, basically, that's it.
Okay. Thank you. Is there anyone else? All right, and as I said earlier, those are not agendized items, so we can't address it, but we can give direction to staff to reach out to both you to answer some questions after the meeting if you want to stick around, okay? Great. All right, seeing no one else, then I'm going to close the floor, and we'll move on to the next agenda item, which is our award of contracts, which is I-1. Chief, is that you? Nope,
No,
Public Works.
That's me.
Sorry, Dwayne.
No problem. Mayor, council members, staff recommends that the mayor and city council authorize a contract with Franklin Striping out of Phoenix, Arizona for installation of paint stripes and markings on roadways within the city of Casa Grande as part of the annual pavement maintenance program for an amount not to exceed $217,202.46. Staff is requesting authorization to execute this project utilizing an existing contract through Maricopa County. This contract would provide for pavement striping to various city streets. And there was a map in your packet that showed which streets. On average, pavement striping is replaced every 3 to 5 years with heavy traffic areas requiring shorter increments. The contract amount of $197,456.79, along with a contingency of $19,745.67, for a total amount not to exceed $217,202.46. With that, what questions do you have?
This is part of our ongoing maintenance, right, Dwayne?
Right, we do striping every year. We try to vary arterials one year and residential streets the next.
Okay.
I know we have so much of that going on. Dwayne, it says the end of July it should be done. When's the time frame of starting that?
Sorry, what'd you?
When's the
when does it
time
start?
frame for starting the project?
Boy,
If it's
once
supposed to
another
be
council
done- if
meeting,
it's
you
supposed
ask
to
me
be
a
done
question
by
I can't
July,
answer.
yeah, it's pretty quick
I'm
turnaround.
thinking in the next few months, as soon as the striping contractor has the ability to get down here. They're really busy this time of year.
Lisa?
You know, Dwayne, when we do this every year and then, we approve it and the public always asks, what they're seeing it going on around town. This is on the website, right? The map of what is going to be done, the locations that the striping will be done?
Well, it was, in your packet, so that was available for the public to look at, but I'd have to
It'll be on
check.
our new website.
Yeah, just for, after it's
See, I'm
approved.
getting a head nod.
Yeah, so if it isn't, we'll get it on there.
Yeah.
It'll go on.
This is the kind of thing that will be on that
Right.
new website.
And that's
So,
what I just
so
wanted to
the
make sure.
opportunity is that each department then has to make sure that they communicate to our PIO group and make sure that we get it on there. But that would be a good use of it, I think.
Definitely, we're working hard to try to get as much information as we can on the
Okay.
website.
Good.
Any other questions, comments? All right. Thank you, Dwayne. Seeing none, then I'll ask for an ordinance number, please, Gloria.
Ordinance number 3367, an ordinance of the council of the city of Casa Grande, Arizona, accepting a proposal from Franklin Striping, Inc. for the annual pavement preservation program, authorizing the expenditure of public funds and authorizing execution of a contract with or purchase order to Franklin Striping, Inc. in accordance with the terms submitted to Maricopa County.
Mayor McFarland, I move approval of ordinance number 3367 as presented.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Gloria, can I please get a roll call vote?
Councilmember Edwards.
Yes.
Councilmember Huddleston.
Yes.
Councilmember McBride.
Yes.
Councilmember Fitzgibbons.
Yes.
Councilmember Herman.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Lavender.
Yes.
Mayor McFarland.
Yes. All right, next is item I2, Chief.
Thank you, Mayor. Staff recommends that Mayor and Council authorize the purchase of two 2023 Ford T350 police transport vans from Santan Ford using the listed Arizona state contract for the amount of $108,428.77. These vehicles will be outfitted with police equipment and technology through MHQ of Arizona
utilizing our contract that's also listed for the amount of $58,625.12. The combined total before council tonight is $167,053.89, which breaks down to roughly $83,526.94 per vehicle. That number is significant because if council remembers, in November of 2021, we got authorization to buy these same two vans, except a 2022. And with the shortage of those vehicles, we had to withdraw out of that contract. They were unable to meet the contract demands, so we nullified that contract. And currently, Santan can order us these two vehicles in the week of March 20th, and there'll be 2023 vans, and of course, that means the price is up, which put us $17,053.89 short of our original allocated funding of $150,000. That $17,000 and change will be made up from lines in our operational budget. And these, like I said, would be started to manufacture on the week of March 20th. Currently, we have one PTO van available that's far exceeded its life, and that's the only vehicle that we have right now to transport prisoners to and from Florence. With that, I'd answer any questions.
Matt, Bob?
Naming all your kids?
Yes, obviously, Matt.
That's what happens when you come from a family of 5.
Chief, are you able to reuse the prisoner, the box container that slides into the van?
They've changed the model a little bit, so we had to upfit. They're like anybody else, Counselor.
they tweak
They're
it a
gonna
little,
change it just
so-
enough it doesn't fit. It's like
Yeah.
your phone charger, except a lot more expensive.
Okay, just curious. Thank you.
Any other questions for the chief? All right, seeing no more questions, then I'll call for resolution number, please, Gloria.
Resolution number 5514, a resolution of the council of the city of Casa Grande, Arizona, accepting a proposal from Santan Ford for the purchase of two 2023 Ford Police Transport vans, accepting a quote from MHQ of Arizona to provide uplifting services for the vans, authorizing expenditure of public funds, authorizing execution of the contracts or purchase order to complete the project, and authorizing the transfer of budget authority.
Mayor McFarland, I would move for approval of resolution number 5514 as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Gloria, can I please get a roll call vote?
Councilmember Edwards.
Yes.
Councilmember Huddleston.
Yes.
Councilmember McBride.
Yes.
Councilmember Fitzgibbons.
Yes.
Councilmember Herman.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Lavender.
Yes.
Mayor McFarland.
Yes. All right, let's move on to ordinances and resolutions. Item K1. This is a Public Works item.
Thank you,
Brian?
Mayor. Staff recommends the mayor and city council pass a debt authorization resolution for the Water Infrastructure Finance Authority of Arizona, WIFA, for the wastewater project financing application. The city of Casa Grande requires additional wastewater collection and distribution infrastructure. This is to support the new commercial, industrial, and residential developments planned for the city's rapid growth in the next few years. Therefore, it is prudent to move forward with all the necessary improvements to the city's waste reclamation facility to increase capacity. This includes effluent reuse, recharge, collection, distribution, infrastructure, recharge basins, and injection well construction, and plant upgrades. Facilities include gravity sewer lines, sanitary sewer force mains, reclaimed water lines, and potential service connections. WIFA reviewed and selected the city's application for effluent recharge basins and injection well construction to increase the plant's capacity to over 12 million gallons a day. The amount requested was $34,835,000. This application ranked number 7 out of 49 on WIFA's project priority list. The high ranking indicates a good probability to receive project financing approval. Once WIFA receives the city's debt authorization resolution, they will develop a project finance application, which will include financial, legal, managerial, and technical language for the city's review and approval. The PFA is due 8 weeks before WIFA's bi-monthly board meeting. The debt authorization resolution does not bind the city to the project application. Mayor, council, city manager, and staff will be able to review and discuss the PFA at a later meeting. The city will have the opportunity to accept or reject the PFA. The debt authorization resolution only provides for the development of the PFA by WIFA. As this project is in WIFA's 2023 funding cycle, time is of the essence for the city's approval of the debt authorization resolution to allow for WIFA's development of a project finance application for city review. With that, what are your questions?
Lisa?
Just a quick question. I know we talked about this earlier for the solar project, but how detailed is this application for us to, you know, as far as time consuming? Is it a lot of time? Is it something that we do regularly, so we're pretty familiar with the process? I don't know, Dwayne or Larry, if you can just get just an idea.
So as part of our contract to design and manage these projects, we had money in there to do this application. They've actually filled out the application, and it's ready to go whenever we want to pull the trigger.
Okay.
If you approve the authorization tonight.
Good. I guess pretty quick.
They're ready to go. All right, seeing no other questions or comments, then I will call for a resolution number, please, Gloria.
Resolution number 5515, a resolution of the council of the city of Casa Grande, of Pinal County, Arizona, to authorize the application for a clean water state revolving fund loan from the Water Infrastructure Finance Authority of Arizona.
Mayor McFarland, I move to approve resolution number 5515 as presented.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Can I please get a roll call vote, Gloria?
Councilmember Edwards.
Yes.
Councilmember Huddleston.
Yes.
Councilmember McBride.
Yes.
Councilmember Fitzgibbons.
Yes.
Councilmember Herman.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Lavender.
Yes.
Mayor McFarland.
Yes. All right, next is K2. Are you going to do this, Larry, or is Dwayne going to do this? Or,
Right here, Mayor.
He's down there. He's hiding out there titularly.
Mackenzie.
Yes, sir. First off, I'd like to say I didn't get the internal memo that we were modeling for GQ. First we had David Refner, and then now we have Dwayne over here. So I'm looking severely underdressed. But
Mackenzie, I have the same vest. You're looking good.
thanks from Costco. It's great. It's great. But the second thing is, too, Ed and Dick and Larry did such a great job with the presentations they did earlier, so this is going to be a pretty quick resolution today. So the staff recommends that Mayor and City Council approve the resolution providing debt authorization for Water Infrastructure Financing Authority WIFA project finance application, PFA, in an amount not to exceed $20 million for the wastewater treatment plant solar project. And so just 2 points I wanted to bring up was, first, as Dick and Ed explained, we originally requested 20 million because we were looking at that kind of in between 2 megawatts and 5 megawatts. After they did their due diligence and their investigations, they found that it was in our best interest to remain at that lower 2.25 megawatt system. And then the final thing is, I just wanted to state that the debt authorization, similar to what Dwayne explained, it doesn't kind of lock us in or bind the city to anything at this point. It's just so we can move along with the application process through WIFA. And similar with Dwayne, as soon as we get the debt authorization, we have the project finance application complete. We're actually going to submit it in tomorrow, so we'll be able to get to their board meeting. I think that's in April, if I recall correctly, and then that's when we'll bring back the actual contract authorization to council for you guys to review and look and make sure the interest rates and everything look good to your liking. And so the fiscal impact for this item at this point is nothing, and obviously staff will return to Mayor and Council in April for approval or denial of the proposed contract if we are approved through WIFA. The alternatives are don't approve this resolution, and then Brett, I don't know is there any opportunity where we could reduce that amount to 10 million instead of the 20 million?
You could, they could, sorry, my voice is not here today. Anyone who moves it could move the resolution, but ask to amend it by replacing the number 20 million with 10 million.
Do we want to do that today, or do you want to wait?
I'll leave that to Larry.
Members of the council, I think it's probably prudent for us to keep the resolution as authorized today and let the numbers be finalized, and ultimately, if there's a loan loan documents, then we can approve the loan documents for the final amount.
Okay.
So with that said, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Anybody have any questions then on that? Okay. Seeing none, thank you, Mackenzie.
Yeah, no problem.
I'll call for a resolution number, please, Gloria.
Resolution number 5516, a resolution of the council of the city of Casa Grande of Pinal County, Arizona, to authorize the application for a clean water state revolving fund loan from the Water Infrastructure Finance Authority of Arizona for the city's wastewater treatment plant solar project.
Mayor McFarland, I move to approve resolution number 5516 as presented.
Second.
Right, I have a motion and a second. Gloria, can I please get a roll call vote?
Councilmember Edwards.
Yes.
Councilmember Huddleston.
Yes.
Councilmember McBride.
Yes.
Councilmember Fitzgibbons.
Yes.
Councilmember Herman.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Lavender.
Yes.
Mayor McFarland.
Yes. All right, next is our public meetings and public hearings. This is item L1. It's a public hearing considering approval of ordinance number 1178.221.2. Mr. Tice, nope. Jacqueline? Send in the A-team.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Next item on the agenda is a zone change request from PAD, a religious and education site, to PAD for RV storage. It's a 10-acre site located along Courtson, just west of Colorado Street. The current zoning, as mentioned, is for education and religious. It's part of the Muirlands PAD, originally approved in the mid-2000s. And this was for single-family development and commercial. In 2015, the site was rezoned as noted. The single-family development portion of the current PAD does not have certificates of assured water. And so because of this, staff felt it was best to create its own PAD. However, we did carry forward some of the existing conditions of records that you'll see on a later slide from the existing PAD. Here's the PAD review criteria that's covered in the staff report. I'll be going over the two highlighted items. Regarding conformance with the city's general plan, the site is within the neighborhood's land use category, and commercial PADs are an allowed use. And one of the goals of that land use category is to preserve the unique qualities of neighborhoods within the city, and to encourage the design of commercial buildings that reflect differences between neighborhoods by being sensitive to scale and massing. And the site will have landscaping surrounding the site with decorative fencing that will help with the relationship between the surrounding properties. With regards to the city's zoning ordinance, PAD is an allowable zoning district, and some of the following setbacks are for the front 15, side 5, rear 5, and then there will be a 20-foot building height. The site will also incorporate landscaping. There'll be a 15-foot buffer in front and a 5-foot landscape buffer along the sides and rear. With regards to notification, staff and the applicant met all requirements. And regarding inquiries and comments, prior to Planning Commission, we did receive one phone call regarding this proposal, had concerns with safety, aesthetics, and property values. And during the Planning Commission we did receive one comment. They had concerns with the height of the buildings and traffic. I did follow up with them after the meeting and sent them the major site plan that's currently under review to show them the scale of the buildings and everything, and I did not receive any comments after that. So with that, the Planning Commission on a 7-0 vote recommended to City Council to approve the zone change requests with the following conditions of record. And I did want to note that we did add number 4 since Planning Commission, and I did follow up with the applicant, and they were fine with that. I'm happy to answer any questions Council may have.
Any questions? Okay, thank you, Jacqueline. All right, seeing no questions, then I will, this is a public hearing, so I'm going to open the public hearing. If there's anyone here who would like to address the council on this matter, please come forward. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, maybe I didn't understand what was happening here, but you said there was one call. I'm concerned. Just because there's one call, that means everybody's agreeing with this? I don't think it sounds right. I think it should be opened up to everybody to get more feedback about what they want before just passing something through. Because last time I was here, I kept thinking about gentrification, pushing people outside. You know, I know they want these RV places. When I was in Yuma at a shelter about 2-3 weeks ago, and I was driving back through, there was all these RV parks just smashed in all together, sort of like an eyesore. And I know people have been living out there. I'm sure there were. So I think this should be opened up to everybody, you know, especially in those areas. So, okay.
You want to address any of that?
So this is just for RV storage, not a park or anything. And with regards to neighborhood reach out, we do, for Planning Commission, send out notices to neighbors within 300 feet. And it's also posted, sign postage on the site, as well as notices to the paper. And those were just the comments that we received.
Yeah, I think that the Planning and Zoning Commission has notifications. Then there's notifications for tonight's meeting. This is an RV storage facility. It's not a public, it's not open for public RV camping or park. It is just storage, and it is adjacent to the elementary school district, Cactus Middle, and what's the elementary school that's there?
Choya.
Choya. So it's that campus, it's right next to that campus, so it's a kind of a zone between residential and the school, so. Anybody else have any other? This is a public hearing, so you are welcome to speak on this matter. Go ahead, Lisa.
And thank you for bringing that up, because, you know, I know we send out the notifications to the neighbors, but, you know, I do think some of these projects do affect a larger population. So I think maybe with the CG Alerts, this new program that we're going to be implementing could be helpful for other citizens that might not read the paper or might not read the Planning Commission or the City Council packets. But if we can try to encourage our citizens to go online and sign up for these public meetings, I'm hoping that this is something, an example of something that it can be pushed out to the general public. Is that right, Jacqueline? I mean, this can be pushed out.
Oh, yes,
as
yeah.
information.
Yes.
Right.
And then it is noticed in the paper as well, so if they
Right.
did have comments, they could reach out to
Yeah,
our
and
department.
if somebody's signed up for our online,
Right.
they sign up,
They get
they
it.
get notification.
Right.
And it comes to them via our meeting notification. So all that information's in there.
Is in there.
So it's communicated out there
Yeah.
quite a lot. You have to look for it. You have to read
Well,
it.
see, that's just it, I know.
But you have to read it.
Right.
I mean, we can't force people to read it, so.
Right.
And there is a sign posted on the site
Right.
that
Right,
does
on the site,
generate
right. Yeah.
comments too. I will get calls
Exactly.
from them.
That's
Yes,
true
I
too.
know.
Okay, any other public comments? Seeing none, then I will close the public comments. Any other comment from council? All right, seeing none, I'll call for an ordinance number, please, Gloria.
To 1.2, an ordinance of the council of the city of Casa Grande, Arizona, amending zoning ordinance 1178 in its subsequent amendments by changing the zoning from the Mural Lands Planned Area Development to Planned Area Development for recreational vehicle storage on property located generally near the northwest corner of Courtson Road and Colorado Street, Casa Grande, Arizona.
Mayor McFarland, I move to approve ordinance number 1178.2221.2 as presented.
Second.
All right, a motion and a second. Gloria, can I please get a roll call vote?
Councilmember Edwards.
Yes.
Councilmember Huddleston.
Yes.
Councilmember McBride.
Yes.
Councilmember Fitzgibbons.
Yes.
Councilmember Herman.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Lavender.
Yes.
Mayor McFarland.
Yes. All right, that concludes tonight's business. The next item on the, and last item on the agenda is our reports, so I'm gonna mix this up just a little bit, and Jeff, I'll start with you.
You had me go last, I know, right?
I don't have a whole lot to report. I did go to the meeting with the architects for the Florence Streetscape project. It was very informative, and I think they've listened to the concerns that were brought forward, and we're working on what I think will be a doable plan for the city moving forward. So, Mr. Raines and your staff, thank you for setting that up. It was very informational.
Matt?
Ooh, thanks. Had a good couple weeks. The Youth Commission had a meeting here a couple Saturdays ago, and we hosted the Maricopa Youth Council in like a joint session. We had some fun and games, and we had shared some ideas, and they had like roundtable discussions about their different activities they do and different goals they had, and it was really neat. And one interesting thing that I took is how we always hear about what Maricopa has, and they wanted a lot of stuff that we have too. So it went both ways. So it was really neat to see that. And they did drop some money at our local food establishments they don't have in Maricopa. So that was even better. It was a lot of fun. And then immediately following that, we went out to the Garden of Sunshine, had a little memorial service there with some of the families. It went really nice. And the Community Services Department helped us a lot setting up for everything. Did a great job. And so we appreciate that. And just to remind again that the shredding and e-cycle event is April 22nd. Thanks to Public Works is going to be helping with the e-cycle as well. And that's at First American Credit Union on Pinal Avenue. And that'll be Earth Day, April 22nd. And I got to go to part of the skate park mural presentation and see some skate tricks there, which was pretty cool. It was a nice day. And then I try to stay out of this, but we're not the school board of Casa Grande Union High School District, but yet when we talk to all these businesses and places that come to town, one of the first things they talk about is how's our schools. And, you know, some stuff's been going on, but it appears that they will chosen Jeff Lavender to be the new superintendent. And I've known Jeff, my wife worked for him for a long time, and a lot of people have worked for him, and they love working for him, and not because it's easy, because he makes it done. And so, you know, I don't think they could have chosen a better person for this job. He knows the kids here, he knows our community, he knows the parents. He's a great leader. And the school is the heart, you know, one of the hearts of our community, and it's very important for us, for our businesses, just to make it. And he, you know, he's been a Rodell Award winner. He knows how to run an A+ school and get the grades, and he is the best choice I could say for the job. So Jeff, congratulations.
Well, thank you, Matt.
And thank you for leading our school. It's really important to the entire community. And again, I just can't think of a better candidate because he knows our community. And I think that's something that's been lacking in the past, is someone that understands already. So Jeff, thanks for your leadership again.
Thank you.
Ditto what Matt said, Jeff. I also attended the skate park community meeting. What?
He didn't call on you yet.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
You looked at me.
No, that's okay.
Thank you.
You go ahead.
God. The skate park community meeting was really good. I was impressed just with the talent, but also with the artists that were there. So Gloria, thank you very much for setting that up. Kudos to the Garden of Sunshine. They always do a wonderful job. Anthony and I did get to go to the Leadership Academy last week since we missed the first, and it was really interesting to see so many different people from some backgrounds. And in fact, the mayor and I were part of interviewing 2 of them that are in the Leadership Academy for a board and commission tonight, so that was great. Just a reminder that we have the Cactus Fly-In coming up on the 4th, as well as the studio tour. So there's a lot going on in the next few weeks in Casa Grande, and that's it.
All right. Lisa?
Are you sure you don't want me to go last? Oh, sorry, Anthony, he made eye contact with me. Yes, it is. It's definitely a busy time. Things are gearing up with the new year. Councilmember McBride and I went to the Super Bowl party at the HOHP, the Veterans Center. So that was exciting. We got to meet the Hall of Famer, Joe Delamilure. Is that right for you football fans? He was a Buffalo Bills player, and he was such a nice man. So nice, and ended up staying at the Veterans Center for a while, talking to all the veterans, so that was good. And there was also Joe Jackson that played for the Vikings. So it was exciting because the HOHP was chosen to get one of the Hall of Famers to come down and meet with them. So they had a nice little Super Bowl kickoff party there. The Florence Streetscape, I was happy to attend that meeting. So Larry, I'm glad you brought us all in. It was great to get the feedback that was given from our public meeting. The group is obviously looking at all those comments and concerns and questions, and of course, putting together another, proposal to the city on moving forward. But it is a really neat program. So what they're thinking about. But as you guys know, I've been bringing this up for years, and Jody, I'm glad you interviewed several of the Faith Alliance members, but the iHelp program, which is the Interfaith Homeless Emergency Lodging Program, is moving forward. I know she interviewed some of the Faith Alliance members. This is the group that's kind of spearheading one of the strategic goals from the Mayor's Task Force on Homelessness. So we are excited that we're making progress. Ultimately, we want it every day of the week, but we're starting it with 1 day a week. And it's a rotating homeless shelter that'll be going to the churches, local churches. So starting with 1 day a week, and hopefully we'll get this going as the city of Tempe and Mesa and Chandler every day of the week for the homeless. So we have 4 churches that we're working through all the details. We're working with the city, public safety, getting the shower units to the churches. So May 1st is the day they're trying to target, because Easter is April. So that's where we were going to target initially, but since that's a busy time for them. So looking forward to that. I attended, as well as Councilmember Huddleston, the neighborhood meeting for the Pennell and Hopi property. For those of you that don't remember, this is where the city sold 120 acres of city property to a developer that's going to bring about 500 manufactured homes to Pennell, the corner right around Pennell and Hopi. So they had a neighborhood meeting, and I thought it was well attended. There was about 25 to 30 people there. And Jacqueline, I brought this up earlier because there were people that contacted me that didn't get notification and that had questions on it. So they were obviously beyond that 500 feet border. And so that's why I just want to make sure that this is obviously a project that just doesn't affect those, surrounding property owners. There's people that were just a little concerned and had questions also on this particular property. So we were able, and I know the city sent out, social media posts on Monday and Tuesday, so a couple people came, but there were people that, would have liked to attend and had notice, to attend this. The feedback was interesting, and I think the council members, when they voted on this, they said that they wanted to get the feedback from the community. So I really hope the staff gives you the true comments at that meeting. I know they will, but there were obviously concerns, certain concerns with the property. There was people that, there that, affordable housing was important, but there was also, traffic, the long-term home values, is it truly affordable, and how this other projects this developer had sold and how the reviews are. So I really hope you look at those as we move forward. So Faith Alliance is having a blood drive. So for anyone that likes to participate, there's a huge demand right now for blood. And so it's at this Saturday from 9 to 2 at the LDS Church on Colorado Street. So you can just show up at any time and give blood, and they'll appreciate that. So that's it for me.
Anthony?
I'm fine. I've given my time over to Lisa. Thank you so much. And Matt covered a lot of things I want to say in regards to Councilmember Lavender. We're definitely praying for you, and we know you're going to do a great job. Thank you so thankful for that. And I give back my time.
Thank you, Anthony.
Thank you, Anthony. Thank you.
Bob?
Mayor, I enjoyed attending the Legislative Day sponsored by CAG and Sun Corridor and hosted by League of Cities. It was very informative. I have to admit, though, I was a little disappointed in our representatives that they did not express a more passionate objection to the food tax bill. If that passes, it's going to greatly affect us in a negative way, and I waited to hear them say they were opposed to it, and I don't think I ever heard that. But we'll see. Also attended the neighborhood meeting that Council Member Gibbons mentioned, and it was well attended and very informative. I appreciated the opportunity. Also this week, the Fire Department Awards Dinner is on the 25th, so I'll be attending that as well. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Just a couple of things. If anybody's interested in Arizona Project WET, there is a training program on March 21st, 9:30 to 11:30. It's at the University of Arizona Cooperative Extension, Pinal County office on Cottonwood here in Casa Grande. So it's from 9:30 to 11:30. Then once you are trained, then there's an event, a festival, the actual water festival, which is on March 28th from 7:30 to 2:30 at Mesquite Elementary School, where you'll actually use your training to teach young people and teach kids about water. And so, as important as water is to us all in the desert, if someone is really passionate about this, maybe we can put this on our website. Anybody's listening to me?
She said yes.
Just write it down.
Okay. So that, because you do have to register for this, so please look for it on our website tomorrow. I'll give you till noon. You can get it on the website by noon. Then the Public Safety Day, which is coming up, that's April 1st, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And that's going to be a good event. It's usually at our park, is it not?
Paul Mason.
Paul Mason, yeah.
It doesn't say.
It just says, yeah, it doesn't say. It's usually at Paul Mason, though. Yeah, I'm getting a head shake. Paul Mason. Might want to redo this flyer, too, because it doesn't say Paul Mason. Not being critical. Oh, it's PD's fault. Oh, thanks, Chief. Also, just an update on single-family building permits. I will tell you, January this year was abysmal compared to last year for the city of Casa Grande. Last year in January, we had 113 permits. This year, we had 3. So, in January over January for all of the Phoenix metropolitan area, 867 permits in 2023 compared to 2,784 the year before. So that's a 69% decrease. So you can see what interest rates does to housing. And yet we need more housing for people. So I'm befuddled on the fact that we need housing, we have a housing shortage, and yet nobody's building any houses. So, and it's not because of city legislation. Just want to reiterate that. Some of our legislators seem to think that's the case. On a more positive note, the elementary school is working on it's called COIL. It's their Center for Online Innovative Learning. And it's a center, again, for online innovative learning that's actually going to be located online, but it can actually go to the campus. Is it not at the, which campus?
Evergreen.
Evergreen. So it's at the
It's
Evergreen.
actually an in-person program there. The online will be separate So
Okay.
there's two programs they're
Yeah,
gonna have,
see-
the online and then the other program, which is very similar to
There
the
you go.
PACE program.
Yeah, so it'll be interactive type of programming for middle school.
Problem solving.
Yeah, problem-solving type programs. So again, I think moving in the right direction in terms of some of our working with our young people, getting them interested in a subject, especially before they get to high school. So not everybody's an athlete, not everybody's in the band. So, we need to try and engage all of our young people and get them interested in some topic and get them to focus on that topic so that when they get to high school, they can actually concentrate on something. And so anyway, I think it's a great program. I applaud the elementary school district and high school district both for their efforts in this area. I have a whole bunch to say about the legislature, but I'm not going to say it. So please educate yourself on what the legislature is doing. I have 25 pages, almost 30 pages of bad bills. Bad bills meaning they hurt cities and towns. And just the top line, it's about $10 million for the city of Casa Grande for just 2 of these bills. And they want to take away our funding, and then they want to tell us that you can't defund fire and police, which are 50% of our budget. So they take away 17% of the budget and say, don't touch fire and police when they're 50% of our budget. Now, I don't think we have any intentions of taking any money away from our fire and police, but if they cut 17% of our budget, we're all going to feel the pinch unless we levy more sales tax on you, our citizens. And that's a very strong possibility if the legislature takes away 17% of our operating budget. That's 17% of our operating budget. It's pretty drastic. And we can't take it out of our salaries because we don't make anything anyway. So that being said, talk to your legislators, tell them not to take city dollars out of our pockets. Literally, the one bill, they wanted, number one, take away charter cities, which we are a charter city, which we manage our own governance. We don't have to follow the state's mandates, except when they do this, when they take funding away. And then if we do take money away from the fire and police, they will actually reduce our shared revenues by that same amount. So it's a double whammy. It's not like we lose 17% plus then we're going to lose if we happen to cut fire and police. And I'm just telling you, this legislature this year is so bad. There must be 8 bills just on elections, how they want to do away with early ballots. They want identification revisions. There's hand counting, requiring hand counting for elections. I mean, we're going backwards. I don't know. If anybody would like to see my list, I'd be happy to share it with you.
On the website?
On the website.
We can do that.
He doesn't want to talk about it, but he's passionate, as are we all.
Scott gave me a quote, and this is a quote from a gentleman by the name of Jack Dabalski. He was the executive director for the League of Arizona Cities and Towns from 1957 until he retired in 1997. And he had a great quote. And this quote, imagine yourself being a legislator, okay, not a city person. But his quote was, that level of government that I am on is good, honest, true. That level of government above me is doing it to me. And that level of government below me needs watching and control. If you got to be there to understand this, but it's basically it's the legislature. Legislature complains about federal government telling them what to do, and then they turn around and they tell us what to do.
It's about control.
So it's crazy. Okay, I'll get off my soapbox. Anyway, everybody have a great week, and thank you all for being here.
Batten down the hatches.